Happy Halloween from Bloodbath and Beyond. Today we review Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Family is forever.
Written and directed by Rob Zombie, starring Scout Taylor-Compton, Danielle Harris, Brad Dourif, Malcolm McDowell, and Tyler Mane as Michael Myers. This movie takes place 2 years after the events of Rob Zombie's Halloween. Laurie's living with Annie, but she still has flashbacks, obviously, because it was only 2 years ago. And something that is probably concerning and helping drive these nightmares is the fact that no body was recovered from Michael Myers. And I guess he took a year off because it's this Halloween that he decided to try and get the family back together. Being that everybody wants to see us talk about this movie rather than actually review it, there will be full spoilers in this review. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it, then come back and let's discuss. Now let's get into our likes.
I will give Rob Zombie credit with how he shot the kills in this film. They looked cool. It was very impactful, especially like the strip club death. Not like the strip club owner, Henry, our lackey, where he's like taking the trash out and he gets stomped. And it like looks good, like the whole like face stomping. It's pretty intense, but there's like a lot of good kills in this film.
Rob Zombie's Michael just feels a little bit more powerful, if I'm being honest. Even if it isn't a dream sequence like Octavia Spencer getting killed, the fact that he continuously stabs for like so long, you're not really seeing much. You're just seeing his viciousness. It just shows power, and it suits Michael Myers.
Brad Dourif did a fantastic job in this film. Something about him as the sheriff, the look, the feelings you have for him. Like you actually have sympathy for Brad Dourif in this film.
Of course, I like Danielle Harris.
She was F-I-N-E fine.
And I like Scout Taylor-Compton as well.
All I know is I hope that dead rotting flesh didn't bump on my pineapple.
A little dead rotting flesh never hurt.
Oh God, do we?
I liked Annie's character a lot better because she's kind of like the nurturing kind. She's been through the same thing as Laurie, but she's handling it a lot better and trying to act like a really good friend. I mean, they're putting Laurie up, but she's also like dealing with a lot of Laurie's shit because she's a wild one. She's been hanging out with Bria Grant too much.
What up, dick lickers?
Yeah, the one thing with Scout Taylor-Compton's acting in this one is I think she nailed Sherry Moon. I don't know if Rob was like, here's my wife, do an impression.
I couldn't handle her, honestly.
Stop!
I hope this isn't how I act. I get out of hand, but I hope I don't get that out of hand where it's like I'm freaking out and then we're walking out and I'm like, no, we gotta go back. We gotta go back. It was driving me a little bit nuts, but she seemed drunk as fuck.
I'm so fucked!
I could testify, he can never make me a tea after the bar.
I couldn't make you a tea right now. I don't have a kettle. Or tea. I could make you a Crown Royal and Pepsi.
Tyler Mane did a good job as Michael Myers too. I mean, like, he's a big boy, very intimidating, and probably one of the more unique looks. Whether he's wearing a mask or half a mask or a full mask. I didn't understand how like the mask would rip in one part and then it would be whole in the next, but he looked menacing.
Now, what didn't we like? Let's address the white horse in the room here. I did not like any of Sherry Moon's bits. I can respect Rob trying to do something new. If you've looked at the rest of the Halloween franchise, it seemed like most people were trying to do something new, but they didn't go this far out of the box. This I just didn't really enjoy. It happened too frequently and felt out of place and just seemed like a cheap way to get your wife into a movie.
I felt as though Rob Zombie was busy watching Friday the 13th and thought to himself, well, what if Michael's mom was the one behind all the killing? Why don't we try this out and throw in a couple horses for good measure? Because they're majestic creatures that he can have his avant-garde artsy film shots. It just wasn't for me.
And I would bet it wasn't for the test audience either, hence the intro basically just saying, okay, just a heads up guys, the white horse is to represent this and to draw out anger. Like it straight up just like spelled it out because you know that people were complaining about this.
You were walking down this white hallway with this big white horse.
I think there's a lot of decisions that Rob Zombie made in this storytelling that kind of ruined the lore of Halloween. In particular, Loomis. I think they ruined Dr. Loomis's character.
Why? He's like a sex god now.
I get it. Sexy Loomis is hilarious and I appreciate what he's doing, but it's still like he doesn't care about Michael Myers. He doesn't care about anything.
I don't think you quite understand what I'm trying to accomplish here.
He cares about women, money, and living the high life.
Fame, baby, that's it. To be honest, if I saw a picture of Sexy Loomis or Sherlock Holmes Loomis, I'm probably getting Sexy Loomis signed, but I don't like the character.
I mean, this is old Loomis. This is new.
Everything just felt ass backwards in this film. You have Loomis, who's supposed to be the one making sure Michael doesn't do anything, just off hanging out with Weird Al.
Snap!
Meanwhile, Lori, who's supposed to be our final girl, is freaking out, becoming super crazy and not the wholesome person that she's supposed to be.
And I get angry, and there's something in my body that snaps.
And Michael Myers is following Sherry Moon the whole time. Plus we have like new mini Michael who
Was recast for some reason.
We don't know what Dag was doing. He's starring in Hancock.
Now you say things are supposed to be a certain way. So I do want to backtrack on that because it's the whole point of Rob Zombie trying to like reboot the franchise is because we're not supposed to think anything. But because that franchise already exists, we're going to walk into this movie with expectations. And the fact that Lori being the sister was supposed to be a big twist in this movie, but give me a break. We've seen 3 movies prior to this where she was established to be a sister. So you can't try and make that a twist in this movie when your audience thinks that she's the sister anyway.
Fuck you, motherfucker!
Yeah, the real twist would have been Annie being the sister because, like,
Well, that would piss a lot more people off. Although, based on my general knowledge and the reception of the horror community in this film, I don't think you could have pissed a lot of people off more. So why not? I didn't like seeing Michael's face. As a kid, it was one thing, but as a grown-up, I didn't want to see it. And can I say, if we're doing our math here correctly, this would have been roughly a 25 to 27-year-old man based on 10-year-old Michael being in the hospital. So it's 17 years later, yeah, so a 27-year-old man. Not a fucking chance. This guy is old as shit. Maybe if I ate dogs for a couple years, I'd look haggard as fuck too. I didn't like the editing. The editing I thought was terrible. You can definitely tell the Rob Zombie influence. Some of it can work, but most did not. Like you have the freeze frames, you have like the crazy fast cutting interspliced with flashing lights and just really obnoxious cuts. The same thing that we complained about with 31, where every fight scene in that is impossible to watch.
and on top of that, the score. Like there was really no music that got me in the mood for like what was happening. I'm not expecting like John Carpenter style of music from Rob Zombie, but at least just something that is gonna like build that tension. Everything just felt flat.
I know we mentioned her earlier, but Lori is an insufferable bitch. I didn't like her. Scout did a fine job as her, but her character was just, how are you supposed to root for her?
I was really rooting for Michael to kill Lori and Loomis about an hour in and hoping that it would be over.
If you don't like your main characters, why are we watching it? Why is it 2 hours long? If we cut out all the horse shit, and we cut out like the 15 to 20 minute dream sequence at the beginning, which I did enjoy, but it was basically useless for the rest of the movie. Like, it didn't need to be a 2-hour movie, especially if you don't care about anything that's happening.
I think what's really annoying about this film is, yes, as we talked about, Rob is trying to do something new and something to his own style. This is a sequel to a film he actually got right the first time. Like, you're supposed to go into this with fresh eyes, but that can't be the case when it's a sequel. The fact that this is coming directly after a film that has characters that are nothing like this and shot nothing like this, it just gives it a completely different feel that it's not enjoyable.
I don't know how this happened. Literally, it's a sequel to his own movie that just like is so different. And I know it's a hot take to say that we like Rob Zombie's Halloween, but it's one of my favorite modern horror remakes, and the original Halloween is my favorite movie of all time. This one is not even close.
Give me Paul Rudd any day.
Going back to Michael Myers, I didn't like how he looked like a hobo, and I hated his mask.
I get that it's worn and tethered and ripped apart, but like it didn't look good and they didn't utilize the mask. It was very inconsistent. It'd be like, I'm about to kill you. Let me put my mask on and now I'll kill you.
He's just walking around without a mask, so he just has it in his pocket, and like sometimes he puts it on, sometimes he doesn't. Why even have the mask at any point? I would like to say that we did go into this for the first time since probably it came out, like in theaters. I remember being pissed when we saw it. Like me and Trav went and saw it at the midnight release, and we walked out fuming. And I haven't watched it since. So this was me, reserved self. Let's try to enjoy this. I'm shocked that I did not enjoy this, and I'm pissed about it.
I second that statement. It's been like 11 years. When we revisit stuff, sometimes it's not as we remember it, and in this case, that would have been a good thing, but it wasn't.
And on that note, we'll go to our final thoughts and ratings. This was a huge disappointment. As a big fan of Rob Zombie's previous Halloween, for some reason, 11 years later, I thought revisiting it, I would have liked it a lot more. Especially watching as many really bad horror movies as we do, I'm like, oh, this can't be nearly as bad as I remember. Unfortunately, it was. And not necessarily from a production standpoint, but more from like a story and character standpoint. Laurie is just a terrible character in this. Loomis, you don't like. And there isn't really like a main character that you enjoy other than Sheriff Brackett and Annie. But if you're watching a Halloween movie, you want characters to be invested in so that when Michael goes on his tirade and he wants to start killing, then you care about the people he's going after. And in this one, you don't. I didn't like the way that he looked. Well, I can appreciate Tyler Mane and the size and the intensity of him. His overall look was just not that great.
Are you a giant?
I'd love to give Rob credit for like trying something completely new. However, this movie has so many things that I just dislike about Rob Zombie's style. And then there's the dream sequences that he just kind of shoehorned in that felt so weird. And they tried to make Michael Myers more like Jason with his mom in his head all the time. And we didn't need it. It didn't add anything to the movie except runtime. So I'm gonna give this one sexy girl dressing like a guy who's dressing like a girl out of 5.
I did not have a good time watching this movie whatsoever. It was way too long and I didn't care. I hated what Rob did to all the characters. And the fact that it's Michael Myers pretending to be Jason Voorhees, so much is wrong with that and it's not enjoyable. I will appreciate the kills that are in this film because they do look good and I like all of the actors in this movie. The actors are great. Nothing against them. This is 100% story and lore. I would love to give credit where credit's due. I just can't praise this movie or say go out and watch it because it is too irritating to sit through for 2 hours. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this film half a Freaky Frankie out of 5.
How'd you like to be fucked by the Frankenstein monster, huh?
As always, thank you for watching. Like this video and comment below with your thoughts on the film. If you've seen it, if you haven't and you do want to check it out, links are in the description. And if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel, stay up to date with everything Bloodbath and beyond, and have yourself a happy Halloween.